sensations in any part of your body. And just imagine what it would be like if you could just control pain so much that you couldn't feel pain anymore. Or if something happened, you could control it and it just wouldn't hurt because you choose not to let it hurt. That's right. If you could control your body to that degree, how amazing could that be? But to do that, you need to be in a really, really deep place. And I want you to know that when I touch your hand the next time there, everything from there down to your fingertips will go numb. There will be no sensation whatsoever. You'll feel everything down to here, but everything from there will go numb. So you can feel this, and then all of a sudden this will become no sensation. Nothing there. You can feel your hand now on your leg just there. Start to get heavy. Heavier and heavier. The deeper you get, the heavier it gets. So it almost feels like your fingertips and your thumb and your palm are stuck to your leg. And they're stuck because you lost all nervous control over them. Just for an experimental basis. And have it back later. But just for now, you've lost all control from here down to your fingertips. There's no sensation. There's nothing there. You feel nothing. And it's heavy. Heavy. And in a moment, I want you to try and lift your right hand. You'll find with some entertainment, some delight, that you won't be able to. Because the more you try and lift it, the more it will stick to your leg. So just try and lift your right hand right now. You find that the more you try and lift it, the heavier it seems to get. The heavier it gets, the more you try and lift it, it just won't go. That's right. It's stuck. Because there's nothing happening from here, because you can't feel anything. There is nothing to feel. And now, right now, I'd like you to, because you can't feel a thing, there's nothing to feel. I'd like you right now to be able to open your eyes and just look down at your right hand and see your right hand and see it there and know that there's nothing there, no sensation. It looks like a piece of meat. If you try and lift it now, you'll find that you just can't lift it. It's just too heavy. And there's no sensation. You feel nothing. And because you feel nothing, you can't feel the needle at all. There is no pain. There is no sensation at all. It doesn't hurt. There's nothing there. You don't feel it. You don't feel the scratch. There's nothing to feel. You can put that needle into your hand. There's nothing there. Nothing there at all. No sensation. No pain. And the sensation of pain is gone. And what you can notice right there, right now, you have a total anesthesia in your hand. And you feel nothing. It's evidence that your skin has been healed. There's no pain, no sensation, nothing to hurt. And your hand still feels heavy. If you try and lift your hand now, you'll find you can't. What you can also find is you can stop that bleeding with your mind. Just ask in your unconscious mind the bleeding to stop. Just ask, demand that that bleeding stops right now. So there will be no more blood loss. There will be no more blood comes out of your system. Just the bleeding. Once I take that away, stop. Ask that bleeding to stop. Tell it to stop right now. all sensation will now come back into your hand and into your arm. Everything's back as it was, you have full bodily sensation. And what I want you to do right now is just clench your fist. Just make a fist with this hand. And feel your hand go tight. And now feel your arm go rigid. Make your arm, your right arm, rigid like an iron bar. So much so that you can't even bend your elbow. So it's so tight, so rigid. Stiff and rigid. Tight, tight, tight. Stiff and rigid. Strong, stiff and rigid. Nothing can move it. Nothing can bend it. It's locked solid. Locked tight, stiff and rigid. Feel that strength. Feel that tension. Feel that strength that's in there. Feel that focus. Feel how stiff and rigid that can become. Tight, tense and strong that can be. That's right. Feel how tight that can be. That's right. That's good. And then just relax that right now. Relax it again. Relax your hand. See, if you can make one part of your body tense like that and that strong, you can make your whole body that tense and that strong. That focused. When you can do that, you can do amazing things. When you can do amazing things, you feel amazing. What I'd like to do now is I'm going to help you stand. I'm going to help you stand. Stand. You can still stay in a deep, 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 deep trance. And I'm here to protect and support you all the time. And what I'd like you to do now is let your arm go stiff and rigid again. This arm go stiff and rigid. Lock it tight, stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid. And now make your other arm stiff and rigid. That's right. And then your spine. And then straighten up your neck. Just make your whole spine go stiff and rigid. Stiff, stiff and rigid. Stiff, 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 stiff and rigid. Stiff and tight, stiff and rigid. Stiff and rigid. Now your legs, stiff and rigid. Stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid. Even more stiff and rigid than that. Tight, 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 stiff and rigid. Lock your body out like an iron bar. Like a one long iron bar. Stiff, stiff, stiff and rigid. Lock it out. Tight, tight, tight. Tight, tight, tight. Stiff, stiff, stiff and rigid. Stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid, stiff, stiff, stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid. Let me take your weight as you go stiff and rigid. That's right, stiff and rigid, 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 stiff and rigid. It's okay, stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid. Stiff and rigid, 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 stiff, stiff, stiff and rigid, 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 stiff and rigid. That's right, stiff, 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 stiff and rigid all the way through. Locked out tight, stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid. Going nowhere, stiff, stiff, stiff and rigid. Absolutely locked tight, stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid. Now in a moment, I'm going to ask you to wake up just from your neck. And look down at your body. When I touch you on the shoulder, you wake up just from your neck, look down at your body, I'll touch you on the shoulder again, and you can go back to sleep. So wake up from your neck only. Look down at your body. Put your head back. Stiff and rigid, 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 stiff and rigid. Stay stiff and rigid. Good. Stay stiff and rigid. And stiff and rigid. Stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid. That's right, stiff and rigid. In a moment I'm going to count back from 10 to 1. You're waking with each breath. With each number. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back in the room, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. How do you feel?
Wow, that was awesome.
That was amazing.
Grab a pew.
How do you feel?
How did that feel?
Pretty amazing. With,
Go on then. Oh, try and explain, because I can't explain, because I was doing it.
I just lost all my feeling in my body. I couldn't feel a thing.
How did you
You're so
feel when I
straight.
put the needle in?
The needle was like, didn't know.
I've had pressure or acupuncture before, and I know how sore that is. But